Do you want to know how to create New Year's resolutions that excite children? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting, child development, and good communication all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about New Year's resolutions for children. In this video, we're going to talk about resolutions, what children think about New Year's resolutions, and then how to make resolutions that they will get excited about. So there are mixed opinions about New Year's resolutions. I know some people love them and they get very motivated by them, and some people really do not. And they're like, no New Year's resolutions, please. And some children like them and some children don't like them. And there's probably a reason for that. So New Year's resolutions are beneficial to our society. In fact, I think it is incredibly powerful that we have this time of year as a world culture where we focus on improving ourselves, on looking at what we see about ourselves and saying, is there a way that I might be able to make some sort of an improvement in me? That's a really powerful statement to make about yourself. It's a self-government statement. And of course, I'm all about self-government. The principle of self-government means being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. Well, a person that engages in goal setting is in the process of analyzing themselves, making better plans for themselves so that they can follow through or solve problems that they might have found out that they have. That's a process of self-government. So I am all in favor of goals, but I do recognize, because I'm more of a questioner personality, that not everybody needs a New Year's time to set a goal. So some people feel like New Year's Day or New Year's time is an arbitrary date. Why do I have to set a goal on that day? Can't I just set a goal anytime I feel like I want a goal? And the answer to that is yes. I'm definitely the type of person who probably thinks a little bit more like that. But I've also asked myself another important question, which is, what if I just took this goal setting time seriously, called New Year's, and I did a personal inventory every year? So that's one thing that I try to do. So how do I help my children catch that same love of renewal and setting goals for themselves and seeing themselves become better versions of themselves? Let's talk about that. Some of my children liked goal setting. Some of them felt like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to do goal setting. Why would a child not like goal setting? Well, it could be because the child doesn't actually see themselves accomplishing enough of their goals to feel like it's actually worth their time. They could even think, oh, that's just one more thing I have to be held accountable to, and I'll probably fail at it. There are some people that are a little bit more pessimistic, or maybe they've had a history of events where they haven't accomplished stuff in the time that they wanted to. They're a little bit more perfectionist, and so they get hard on themselves. Those people can struggle with the idea of goal setting because they might not feel like that they will be able to please themselves in the end. So people like that might have this feeling like it's better not to set a goal in the first place. Let's just see if something good happens and we'll clap for it afterward, instead of setting a goal and recognizing things did not go well. Right? There are people who respond better to the idea of goal setting, children included. Now, if you start goal setting with your child, usually you will find that your child is excited about setting a goal. Most children think it's great to take some ownership and control over their own lives and to plan out goals for themselves. This is something that they feel is a maturing thing. Most children feel very grown up when they can make some decisions for themselves and they can follow through for nobody else except for themselves. And that's one thing that goal setting does. So having a culture of goal setting and self-improvement in the family is a healthy thing, it's a maturing thing, and most of the time the children will be very happy about it. unless they have had a lot of bad circumstances when it relates to goals. How could a child have a circumstance that is bad or doesn't feel good related to goals? Well, let's say they set a goal and then they're not doing super great at following the goal all the time. Maybe they're working toward it a little bit, but they're not making fast enough progress. Well, that can be frustrating, but also what if someone starts to help them by nagging all of the time? Suddenly now they're getting nagged just because they set a goal. That doesn't feel very happy or very healthy. And what if the child didn't even set their own goal to begin with? What if the parent set the goal for the child? Well, in that case, it's more like an instruction. And when the child doesn't care about the goal that the parent set for them, then the child starts to feel a little bit like they're getting controlled every time the parent nags or forces the child in the direction toward the goal. I knew of a parent once who wanted his child to excel at sports so much. The parent loved basketball. The son was tall, seemed like he'd be good at the sport, and so the parent pushed and pushed. Now, originally, the son liked basketball, but after a while, the son stopped even caring about the basketball that much and didn't put as much effort into it because the parent was pushing so hard. It ultimately wasn't the child's goal to be on such and such team at the school or whatever with basketball. It was the father's goal. The father was trying to project his goal onto his child and then was getting frustrated when the child didn't seem like it was that important. The thing is if the parent would have stepped off a little bit on that high pressure cell of the goal, the child might have made a goal of their own. I've made similar mistakes. There were mistakes I made with my older children by helping them set goals or setting goals kind of for them and then pushing toward those goals because I didn't want them to fail that I thought would be helpful, but in reality ended up, I think, hurting them when it came to goal setting. But with my younger children, they set all their own goals. They made their to-do lists. They checked them off and they followed through. And I didn't nag about those goals, or at least not as much. I can't say I'm perfect at not nagging. I try not to nag, and it's been something that I've worked on for many, many years. I'm not perfect, so I watch for it all the time, but I can definitely say with my younger children, I did not fall into nagging very often at all. And they are very, very motivated. Now, the older children are motivated too, but we had to go through this bumpy period where they thought that goals weren't very fun. So what did I do to help get them back on track? Let's talk about that. Pretty much everything on this channel could be related to goal setting. Maybe you've noticed that if you're subscribed to this channel, that when you are engaging in self-government, you are setting a goal, taking steps, setting a goal, taking steps. You are working toward goals all of the time, even if you may not be thinking of them in those terms. But there are certain things that we do in teaching self-government that are directly related to goal setting, and I'd like to talk about some of those now as I discuss tips for you to help your children get excited about setting goals this new year. First, make sure that your children know why setting goals is important in the first place. Give them a why. Children need to know why, otherwise they don't care about making progress. You will end up trying to set their goals every time if they don't have a bigger vision. Now, if you'll remember in the teaching self-government, parenting format, we start with a family vision. This family vision gives the family a reason why they would make changes to the family communication style and problem-solving system. The vision is important. It's a long-term view of where the family is headed. And then all of the skills and principles and tone elements that they apply over the course of putting teaching self-government into practice helps them get to that long-term view of that self-government and unity for everyone. Help them know why. What is the why to goal setting? Why do you care? Why are you on this channel? What do you get out of goal setting? Why do you want them to know that goal setting is a good thing? How have you thought about setting goals in the past? Have you ever had a hard time? Bring that to their attention and then explain why you came back to goal setting after it was originally difficult for you. Let them know what they can buy into about the concept. I alluded to this before, but it's really important that the children set their own goals. You can ask them questions about what goals they would like to set for themselves, but they need to set their own goals. Now, occasionally you can give a child an instruction, something like, okay, well, by this date, you need to have this done. That's an instruction. That's different than goal setting. Even though it has an end date, you are instructing it. Should they learn how to follow instructions? Well, if you know anything about this channel, you know the answer to that is yes. Following instructions is one of the 4 basic skills of self-government, and your children can definitely learn how to follow instructions and even like it. But when it comes to goal setting, it should come from somewhere inside them. They should be asking themselves, what type of a person ought I to be? How do I want to improve myself? What steps can I take? You can have conversations with them about the goal setting, but be very careful not to lead them too much. Because if you lead them too much, then suddenly in their mind it's your goal, not theirs. And you want them to invest in it. If the child does not like goal setting, period, start with a fun goal. There's no reason you have to start with something intense, like I'm going to have all of my math done by the time I'm 14 this year on this date. No, no, no. That's intense. How about we start with something else, like I have a goal to want to learn how to play tennis. Or I want to learn how to play pickleball and join a pickleball league. Okay, I guess you can see our family likes racket sports. We're really into pickleball right now. But you could pick anything. Like, I want to learn how to play such and such song on the piano. Or I want to learn how to bake brownies. That's a goal. It can be a very short-term goal. In fact, even a New Year's resolution can be a short-term thing. Now, I know the whole concept is that I am resolving. I am resolving to make this change in me. And it seems funny to say I am resolving to learn how to make brownies. I know. It seems weird, but it's a start. So start with a fun goal. Every single week while our children were being raised, we did something called a mentor session. In the weekly mentor sessions, we talked to our children about goals related to their personal, spiritual, social, and academic success. They would talk about all of these things with us and set goals. Not for everyone every week, but we would pick the things that seemed the most important. That goal setting opened the door to a lifetime of setting goals. This book here is the Mentoring Journal. Each child has one of these books, and then they fill out their schedules and their goals. They have vital, crucial conversations with parents about things related to their academics, things that are exciting to them, fun goals that they set. There's even a part here that says fun goal for the week. Fun goals were a big part. We also talked about ways that they could unify in their relationships with family and other people. They loved these meetings. I can honestly say that for some of my children, they have mentioned now that they are adults that these are the favorite thing that we did. They look back now and they say, Mom, I'm so glad that we had mentor meetings every week. It was a time where I got to decide what I felt I needed for my own development. And I felt so mature and big as I worked toward those goals. Goal setting is liberating, it's empowering, it's maturing. It's a really great thing. Some children get distracted easily. I've had some of those in my family too. And we don't want to nag the children about the goals. So what do? Well, schedule a little time with them where you can check up on the goals. Having the mentor session every week is just such a time. But you might also have a time every day where you just say, so, what are you working on in your mentor book today? That's a great thing. Or, hey, what is it that you've been focusing on with your goals? How can I help you? Is there anything that I can do to help you accomplish your goal for the week? So help your children succeed by just being an option for them as someone that can help. Instead of somebody who's like, you better answer to me, you're not getting this done. That's how they see you in so many things. They don't have to, by the way. Learn teaching self-government, and hopefully you won't have to be acting in that way toward your children so that they step away from you and they want space. So don't add stress. That does not help. Sometimes if a goal is associated with stress, people will try to avoid the goal instead of go at it and try to accomplish it. So set mini goals, be there as a resource for them, but have them set their own goals. Break it down so it's smaller. If a whole annual goal, something for a whole year, seems like it's too big, then it probably is too big. Start small with the child and create that culture of resolution and goal setting at your house. It will benefit your children. They will become more motivated as they see themselves accomplishing goals again and again. Just a little tip for all of my people who subscribe to this channel and who know all about corrections and stuff because you've been following my courses and trainings. When you correct your children and they get the opportunity to accept a negative consequence, which we often use as an extra chore because work is the antidote for a sick character, then they actually get to have that as a tiny goal. They followed through, they did it. They saw success. Children will not like goals if they are not successful. To learn more about the Teaching Self-Government Parenting System, be sure to go to teachingselfgovernment.com.